Here comes the danger up in this club. When we get started, man, we ain't gon' stop. We gon' turn it out till it gets too hot. Everybody sing, hey, yo. Tell them turn it out till they can't no more. Let's get this thing shaking like a disco ball. This is your last one and a courtesy call. Everybody sing, hey, yo. Tell them turn it out till they can't no more. Let's get this thing shaking like a disco ball. This is your last one and a courtesy call.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Anime Rage here, and I'm here with a new what if series I'm bringing to this channel. And with this series, I'm going to bring what if Issei was a Saiyan. Now, there is someone who made something kind of similar to this, like what if Issei was the reincarnation of Son Goku. But this gonna be my own one. And so, yeah. You might see some familiar faces from the Dragon Ball series here and there. And so, yeah, anyway, let me get this video started. And so, yeah, Issei, he gets shot out of a space pod from planet Vegeta. And, yeah. Now, keep in mind that Issei's been flying in the pod the whole time during the whole Tournament of Power to the Broly movie and all that stuff. Issei has just still been flying through the area, just because it's been taking him a bit longer than normal to get there. And so, yeah. And Issei, he finally lands on Earth, and him being a baby, he's crying. And a lady who just so happens to be walking around in the forest hears a little Issei crying, and she picks him up. And she says, I'm gonna take you home with me. And so, yeah, this lady so happens to be a very wealthy person. And, she takes baby Issei to her house, and the husband's there is like, oh, what do we got here? And she was like, oh, I found this baby just in the forest, and he has this weird tail thing. And the husband, he picks up Issei, and he's looking down at him and seeing that he has a tail, and he's thinking to himself, alright, well, we have been struggling having a kid for some time now, so yeah, let's keep him. And they were just asking themselves, what should we name him? And the wife says Issei, and the baby starts laughing and stuff. And the husband's like, well, I guess he likes that name. And so, yeah, time skip 7 years. Issei is, actually no, I'm gonna age him up a bit. Issei is gonna be around 10 years old, how I want to do this. And so, Issei, he's 10 years old, and he's a pretty active child, and he enjoys training here and there. And he is a very good chef. And so, yeah, Issei, he's just walking around in his room. And, he hears a voice. Hello there. And, Issei, he a bit defensive, like, who are you? And, the strange figure says, oh, my apologies. I am Whis. And, Issei's like, Whis? And Whis says, yeah, I am the previous angel of Universe 7. And my trainee Beerus was the previous god of destruction. And Issei, he hears this, he's like, oh, so who are the new ones? And I'm making Goku a... Actually, no. Whis is going to stay an angel. Goku, he's going to be the god of destruction. And Vegeta is going to be the Supreme Kai. And yeah, that's how I want things to go. And Whis says, alright, I know you being a Saiyan, you enjoy training. And Issei's like, yeah, it's the best thing in the world, aside from cooking. And you know, Whis is like, so, if you enjoy training that much, how about you come with me? Don't worry, I already talked to your mom about this. And Issei's like, wait, you did? And she was okay with it? And Whis says, yeah, your mom knows how much you love training, so yeah. And he's just like, all right then, let's go. And Whis says, all right, hold on. And you know, Issei, he holds on, and Whis, you know, he taps his staff into the ground, and they leave. And you know, Whis teleports back to his home, and they see Goku and Vegeta there. And Whis says, all right, so we are going to train you. And he says like, okay, so how do I get started? And you know, Goku's like, oh, hey there, I heard you were a Saiyan. And you know, Issei's like, yeah. So, you're the new god of destruction? And Goku says, yeah, it took a bit of convincing from Whis to get me to becoming a god of destruction. And yeah. And so, you know, Issei, you know, gets us started with Whis. And, you know, he's training with Whis, and of course, you know, he's getting his butt whooped a bit. And, you know, Issei, you know, he's getting a little bit mad to the point to where he goes Super Saiyan. And Whis is like, oh, Super Saiyan. Okay. You're already significantly more powerful, but that's not even close to how far you can push this. Let's see how far we can get this to go. And you know, Whis and Issei are fighting, but it's just pretty much Whis just dodging all of Issei's punches, but he's getting better, a lot better. And so yeah, within the week of Whis and Issei training, Issei mastered Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan 2. I mean, he can use Super Saiyan 3, but he just doesn't like it. And so, yeah. And so, you know, who else am I at? And Whis says, alright, time to tag in someone else. Goku, you're up. And Goku's like, alright, now, let's see what you got, kid. And Goku says as he get into a fighting stance, and Issei, he gets into a fighting stance. And yeah, you know, Issei and Goku, they are fighting. And you know, Vegeta, he's just watching like, this kid got a lot of potential. Reminds me of Gohan. And so, you know, Issei and Goku, they're still fighting. And from him training with Goku, he unlocked a few of Goku's techniques. 1, the Kaioken, and 2, the Spirit Bomb. But, you know, Issei kind of finds it a bit impractical due to how long it takes to get off. And so, yeah. And Goku's like, yeah, use that move as your trump card in case you need to. Always use it as a last ditch resort, because, you know, you're taking energy from a planet. You don't want to kill the planet. And Goku's like, I have to deal with multiple times where I think I pretty much almost drained all the energy from the earth, but since the earth at this point is pretty much filled with mana and ki, I don't really have to worry about asking people for energy, because Energy all around the world will just build itself up for me. And he's just like, huh, that's pretty convenient. Okay, so, time skip a month later. Issei has Kaioken, Super Saiyan, Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3, even though he doesn't really need it. And he knows how to go Super Saiyan 4. And so, yeah, we says, alright then, you've been doing pretty good so far. But we need to take it up a bit higher. And, he's just like, a bit higher? And we says, yeah. Now, I will let you learn on some God Ki. And we just like, and Issei's like, okay, now I feel like things are about to get a whole lot harder. And, Goku and Vegeta give Issei a pat on the back. Kid, you don't even know the end of it. And, Issei, he gulps a bit and he's like, alright, I'm ready. What do I have to do? And we says, it's simple. Goku, go get your family real quick. And Goku, he instant transmission gets Gohan, Goten, Trunks, Pan, Kale, and Caulifla. Yeah, why not? Because they decided that they wanted to stay in Universe 7. And all of them know how to go Super Saiyan God at this point, from Gohan to Kale and stuff. And Gohan's like, you rang, and we says, yeah, I need you to help Issei achieve God Ki, or Super Saiyan God. And they're like, oh, okay. And they do the same ritual as they did with Goku and Ken. All of them put a hand on Issei's shoulder. And, they give him their key to give Issei God Ki. And Issei, he feels the God Ki, and it feels pretty light to him, but at the same time very, very powerful. And so Issei, he takes this power and he goes Super Saiyan God. And we just like, wow, you are a very, very fast learner. You almost remind me of Goku's level of fast leveling. And he's just like, alright, so who am I going to fight now to help train me with this power? And we says, Vegeta, you're up. And Vegeta's like, alright. As he says, alright kid, let's see what you got. Just because you're a kid don't mean I'll go easy on you. And Issei says, neither will I. Now, at this point, Issei's like 12 years old. 12 to 13. And so, yeah. Alright. And so, Issei and Vegeta, they both get into a fighting stance. And they take off. And keep in mind, Vegeta is in... He can go Master Ultra Instinct. But right now, he's just in Blue Evolution. And so, Issei and Vegeta, they're fighting. And, they are swapping good hands. And Vegeta's like, I won't lose. And Isai's like, neither will I. As, they're still going toe to toe. And, Issei's power is growing more and more and more as he's getting more used to God Ki. And, Issei and Vegeta, they're swapping good hands. And, Vegeta, he charges up a Gallic gun. And, Vegeta charges up a Gallic gun. And Issei powers up a Kamehameha. And, they both fire it simultaneously, causing a beam struggle, which broke evenly, causing both Issei and Vegeta to just collapse to the ground due to ki exhaustion. And we just like, okay then, I guess that is enough for today. He has gotten quite well used to God Ki, even though he only had one match. And they're like, wow, this kid is something else. And so, yeah, pretty much that's how Issei's training go. And within like a year of training, he masters Super Saiyan God and Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan. And we just like, okay, before we get into the final steps of your training, we're going to bring in a bit more people. And he's just like, really? And we just like, yeah, I sense an extraordinary amount of power coming from your right arm. I mean, I sensed it when you was 10 years old, but it seems to grow with you. And he's just like, really? And we says, yeah. So basically, you know, Issei, due to him having taken such a long time with God Key, he knows how much concentration it takes. And, you know, he goes into his mindscape and he's talking to someone. Dre. And, you know, Dre says, ah, kid, since you finally decide to go in your mind and actually talk to me. And, you know, he's just like, whoa, I'm actually talking to a dragon. But you're not the craziest thing I've seen every day. And Dre's like, what do you mean? And Issei's like, well, I've been fighting a freaking angel, a god of destruction, and a supreme Kai every single day. And Dre, he's like, well, goddamn, I guess you going through all day, I guess seeing me won't be that much of a surprise. But hey, due to you having your power, it kind of transfers to me while my power kind of transfers to you. Kind of like a fusion thing. And, you know, Issei, you know, he's in his mind. And, you know, and Dre says, alright, kid, you seem to be very, very powerful. So, I'm willing to, you can already handle a good percentage of my power already. In fact, I think you can even go to Juggernaut Drive. And Issei's like, okay, let me just stop it real quick. Let me just tell you this. So basically, for Issei's Red Dragon Emperor or Limit Breaker, he won't have the full thing of armor, but he will have the extreme power boost that comes with it, along with Juggernaut Drive. The only thing that kind of stays is the gauntlet, which is now on his arm. Because, you know, in season 1, it kind of started from like a little glove to like a whole gauntlet on his arm. And so, yeah. And Issei, you know, he's in this extra mind where it's just pretty much white everywhere, and he's walking around and he sees this woman there. And, you know, he kind of blushes a bit, but he fixes himself up. Alright. And so Issei asks, who are you? And she says, I'm Iza. Is that how you say her name? Elza? I think it's Elsha. And there's another person there who was a guy named Belzar. And, you know, the Red Dragon Emperor says, Issei, Elsha is the strongest female Red Dragon Emperor, and Belzar is the strongest of the male side. And Issei, he's like, whoa. And, you know, Issei, he's sensing their power. It's like God Key. It's like he can't sense anything, but he knows there's a lot of power coming from it. Like, that's how crazy it is. And, you know, Issei, you know, he gets out of his mindscape and we says, so, did you talk to him? And Issei says, yeah, I talked to him. And we says, well, good. Congrats. You just can finish another part of your training. Talking to Dre. And Issei's like, wait, how you know who Dre is? And, you know, we says, because me and him go way back, you know, before he got turned into a gauntlet. And you know, Issei's like, oh. And, you know, Dre says, ah, Whis, it's been a long time. And Whis says, yeah, back to you. Kind of, you know, you didn't have to turn into a gauntlet if you and the white dragon, I forgot what the white dragon dude name was. If y'all just settle y'all differences, you might have be able to turn back into a dragon. But no, you gotta be a petty ass person. And you know, Dre was like, no, he started it first. And Whis is like, see, it's like dealing with children. But you don't count. You're pretty wise for your age. And pervy. And he's just like, hey, those were your magazines I found in your room. So how you gonna blame me? And you know, he's like, fair point. And so, you know, a couple years pass, and you know, Issei, he can unlock his balance breaker form and his not Juggernaut drive yet. That's gonna take a bit longer. And yeah, and with his training with Whis, he unlocks Super Saiyan Blue Evolution and Ultra Instinct. Not mastered, but Ultra Instinct. And just because I say he learned some moves from Gotenks, because Gotenks is my favorite Dragon Ball character. And so, yeah. And, you know, Issei, you know, he's in this mindscape again with Dre talking. They pretty much have a Naruto Kurama relationship, you know. Late Shippuden Kurama. You know, he's pretty much friends with him. And so, yeah. And, you know, Dre says, alright, kid, I think it's finally time. And Issei's like, do you think? And Dre says, of course. You are a very strong kid. So, I'm ready to give you, or the, how I should say, the Dragon Fusion. At least that's what I'm going to call it. It's pretty much kind of like it's pretty much like the same ritual they do for God, for Super Saiyan God. Pretty much all the Red Dragon Emperors who died because they were bad gave all their power to Issei. And you know, Dre, you know, he gives him a bit of a boost. And you know, he hugs both Elsha and Belzar as, you know, they both fade away. And you know, Issei, you know, he tearing up a bit, but he's like, alright, this is the final step of training. And you know, Whis says, alright then, this is your final training step. And you know, Goku and Vegeta, they both go Master Ultra Instinct, and they fuse to Master Ultra Instinct Gogeta. And not only that, but he has to fight Whis too. Yeah, Ultra Instinct Gogeta and Whis. And Issei's like, what the fuck? And Dre's like, don't worry, kid, we got this. We got this. And Issei's like, alright, as he gets into a battle stance. And yeah, let the fight begin. And yeah, you know, both. You know what? I'm gonna let Whis be the last person. Yeah. And so, you know, Gogeta, you know, he's fighting with Issei, and they're pretty even at this point, you know. But, you know, Gogeta is still holding back a bit. And, you know, they're swapping very, very good hands. Like, they're pretty much neck and neck. And so, yeah, you know, they're throwing pretty good hands. And, you know, Issei, he charges up a final Kamehameha, which is, for those who don't know, is just Issei pretty much from his training with Goku and Vegeta combines both the Final Flash and Kamehameha together. And you know, Gogeta, he charges up a Big Bang Kamehameha. And so, yeah, they both unleashed their attacks together. And I'm going to say, because plot convenience, Gogeta's pretty much overtakes Issei's. And, Issei is on the verge of passing out. And keep in mind, Issei's in his Ultra Instinct, but he kind of got knocked out of it. And Issei's like, not yet. I won't lose. And Gogeta's like, stay down. You're not going to win this. And Issei's like, I won't lose, as he activates Master Ultra Instinct. Just from him not wanting to lose. Not wanting to lose this fight, because it was his last step. He's been training every day for this moment. And so, yeah. And, Gogeta, he sees Issei with his silverish white hair and his silverish eyes. And Gogeta's like, you did it. You got Master Ultra Instinct. And Issei's like, yeah. Now, time to test this new power. Issei says as he gets into a battle stance, and Gogeta does too. And Gogeta's like, alright, let's make this the ultimate last battle then. He says as he gets into a fighting stance. And they fight. And, Issei, fighting with Gogeta, Master Ultra Instinct is starting to feel more and more comfortable to him as the match goes on. Him and Gogeta, they're swapping very good hands. Very good hands. And, Issei gets a good couple shots in, which really damages Gogeta a lot. And, Gogeta, he's swapping good hands with Issei, getting some good shots in. Issei getting some good shots in. It's pretty much just going like this. And, he knows that he has to keep, refixing the whole place just to how much power is being used. And we thought that he had a very good, powerful magic key absorption seal all over the place, but I guess he needs to add more. And so, yeah. And, Issei, this is a move that I'm coming up with for Issei. It's a move that he came up with. And it's called a Red Dragon Wrath. And it's pretty much him charging up a big, what seems to be just a fat final Kamehameha beam, but it's like red. And Gogeta, he charges up again, but this is even more, times 100 Big Bang Kamehameha. And Issei, he's putting all his power into this move. And they both have a beam struggle again. And Issei, he's struggling a bit, and Gogeta, he's struggling a bit. And Drake's like, kid, we can do this. Don't lose. As Issei lets out a final yell, and he pushes the beam, his one-handed, pretty much a one-handed final Kamehameha, with all of his power into this move. And it overtakes Gogeta's times 100 Big Bang Kamehameha. And yeah, Issei won, causing both Goku and Vegeta to defuse, fall to the ground unconscious, and the Issei fall down to the ground unconscious. And so, yeah, I'm going to end it right there. Leave a like, comment down below, subscribe, and we're almost to 1K. And so, yeah, with that being said, I'm out. Peace.
Yeah, I keep a tool on me if they got a screw loose. They messing with my big homie, they must be a damn fool. I buy me some jewelry, under pressure I stay round the clock, tone fuller. Class clown back in high school. I'm in love with designers, Spencer taste. Laying down the recliner, stay in place. And you know I keep it rockin', got a 40 in my pocket. Niggas say that I'm the plug, and I ain't talking socket. For your love, run the race, cockpit I drive, detour out of space. Never been so high, used to feel in last place, but now I fly by. Dior on my way, pull the trigger, he's fried.